Hello, my friends. We meet again. Where should we start? Where should we begin?
How
How
about a
about
new
Is It
episode?
That Bad
Is it that
episode?
bad?
Is it that bad?
Yes, I love it. How in sync you guys are, but yes. Let's start with a new episode of Is It That Bad? So, everyone, good morning, good night. I hope you like that beat. Please do not unsubscribe. I just want to do something different. And today we're talking about the new album by Scott Stapp that came out last Friday, and it's called Higher Power. And there you have the artwork for the album. It kind of looks like a PlayStation game album cover, or like when I look at this, I thought Within Temptation, but no, it's Scott Stapp. So we're here to talk about this album that came out on Friday. This is the second time on Is It That Bad that we're actually going to cover a new album. We did that last year with Corey Taylor. And again, I'm joined this time for the second time on the channel. We have Mark Aruda from Metal Never Dies. So what do you do when you have a guy from a channel called Metal Never Dies? You have him listen to Creed and Scott Stapp. So Mark, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm good. And we have returning Tom the Green Man. Again, Tom, how are you today?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Hector. Ready for chatting about this album?
Yeah. And finally, rounding out the panel, we have JC Rock and Metal Reviews. JC, how are you, man?
Doing good. Thanks.
Good. So you know the drill, people. We have 3 rounds where we discuss our initial thoughts listening to this, well, this weekend. Then we go to round 2 where we pick 3 or maybe 4 songs that we think are the weakest. And at the final round, we give our final thoughts and we give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, or we have a new thumbs up that we use, the mid. Like when it's like yeah, so we don't know, so we use that. So yeah, let's start this round. Let's start with JC, and we'll go JC, Tom, Mark, and then me. So JC, what are your initial thoughts of this new Scott Stapp solo album?
Yeah, my initial thoughts is it sounded a lot like those 2000s post grunge bands like Godsmack, Seether, Nickelback, and there's some other bands that I'll mention that he was kind of like trying to emulate like later on. So I thought he was definitely going for that a specific sound. I'm not saying he sounded like exactly like Creed, but he was going for that specific like subgenre of those like bands trying to like bring back those like early to mid 2000s bands, that sound back. And I think that's pretty much what he was going for. There are some hard rockers, there were a number of ballads, and you could tell that that was what he was going for in this one.
Yeah, good initial thoughts. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know I knew who Creed were, but I didn't know who Scott Stapp was. So I didn't put 2 and 2 together until quite recently when I can't remember who it was that was talking about him, but and I read, oh, he's the lead singer of Creed. And I remember when that album Weathered came out in 2001, because
Yeah.
I think I remember listening to the singles and thinking they sounded all right, they sounded okay, but never enough for me to quite want to go out in 2001 and buy the album. I never really felt compelled to do that by this. And it's a similar sort of thing, I think, with this album. As JC says, it's kind of like it's got some ballads and some more of that early 2000s rock sound, post-grunge sound, as JC described it. It does remind me a lot of bands like Saliva and Nickelback, in the sort of rockier songs. I feel like, though, this guy can write a good ballad, and I'll say more about that later, but I do feel like he can do some good ballads from what I've heard of him. And yeah, I mean, it was an interesting album. I'm not going to elaborate too much more to not give away, to avoid giving away further thoughts.
Nice. So what about you, Mark?
Yeah, you can really hear the I guess like they said, like the post grunge and stuff, but it's really like the like the dad rock, you know. It's
Uh,
like guys on hard times, you know, like I'm like 46 now. Like I remember listening to Creed in the late 90s and stuff, like My Own Prison. And it's like this is like the dad rock now, right? So I know you hear the big production. It's decent, well, it's good songwriting, like you know, this guy's been in Creed and I think what, 4 solo albums, so it does have he can write, you know, but you could really hear the high production on this, and how like there's like heavy riffs and then all of a sudden it mellows out. But yeah, just high quality production, right? So pretty much how I feel about it. It was everything that I expected it to be, I guess.
Yeah. So for me, yeah, it does sound like like I know you say that rock, but I have a new label for this type of sound. It's called divorce that rock.
Divorce that.
Like if you're divorced, this is the album for you. It speaks to you, like you can hear the pain. And yeah, production wise, yeah, it's very well produced. I don't know who produced it. I haven't checked that out. And yeah, it has some rocking songs that sounds like all those like bands from like the Stains, the Saliva, like hey, Saliva. But I got a lot of Nickelback too, like on some like a lot of Nickelback vibes to it. And yeah, there's some ballads in here. There's even a country song, if you will, that I'll talk about that song later. And yeah, you know, it's got some interesting ideas. The album, like so yeah, it was interesting to listen to. Like Tom said, I'm not rushing to the music store to buy this, but also like not super running away from it. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts with Higher Power by Scott Stapp. And it's funny that Tom's like, who the hell is Scott Stapp? like there let me tell you, there's been some controversies from him that we'll talk about later. So let's go into round two, where we pick a few songs from the record. And what we can do, since it's a new record, yeah, we can pick the 3 songs that we like the least, but obviously then we talk other tracks if it's a new album. So JC, what 3 tracks did you pick and why?
I think the biggest one, I would say, "What I Deserve." I think that might have been one of the singles.
It
It's
was.
not that it's a bad song. It's just that the lyrics are. It's just like the way I see the lyrics is that he's taking these like random words and he's like finding the opposite word. So, like for example, he says like at first he's describing love. He's like love is fear, and then love is anger, love is breathing. And then he gets to the chorus, I'm guilty, I'm innocent, I'm searching for deliverance. I get lost, I get hurt. I just want what I deserve. Then he gets like really random. We are sons, we are daughters, we are fire, we are water. And so I think it's just the lyrics were just very ridiculous. It's later on, love is choosing, love is fighting, love is learning and surviving. So it's just the lyrics just were very cheesy. So I picked that one.
Love is paying
I
that
picked
alimony.
um I picked I think most of the singles were the worst ones. Higher Power. That one is just straight like Nickelback, Seether, Godsmack. It just sounded just very like generic. The guitar riff was just very simple. It sounded like something I heard before. I couldn't think of the exact song, but I'm sure it came from something else. There's Dead Man's Trigger. Another one, it reminded me of that band Seether, just another single, obviously, and it was very generic. And I think another one with like the kind of like cheesy lyrics, Dancing in the Rain, which
Oh,
was kind of like the second to last song. Another one, not a bad song, it's just that the lyrics were just very bad. And I'll mention one more, Black Butterfly. This one, he was trying to sound a lot like the band Bush, like the vocals he was trying to like emulate like Gavin Rossdale so much. So I'm thinking he's trying to copy the band Bush. And that's all. I think I picked 5. So
You pick 5, no. Well, it's a new album. For a new album, people are expecting us to talk more about the new album. So yeah, yeah, interesting choices. So what about you, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, you could pretty much copy and paste a lot of what JC just said, and I'd be saying a lot of exactly the same thing, really. So this makes this a bit, you know, I mean, you could just repeat JC's part for my part, really, I suppose. But Higher Power is one of my least favorites for sure, because it just sounds like it sounds like something I've heard so many times before. Like that early 2000s era, the kind of song that used to get used for WWE shows that you'd always hear in the intervals. It's like exactly reminds me of that exact era, that exact time when I have to admit I used to watch that. So you've got that. I didn't really like Dead Man's Trigger much either, for again the reasons that JC said. It just again, I mean, it didn't really offend me much, actually, and I thought I liked it a little bit more than Higher Power. It felt a little bit more instrumentally interesting, but I still didn't sort of get much out of it, really. And then the other one I chose as well was one that I think JC was talking about at the end, Dancing in the Rain. It's just a sappy ballad, and it goes on for 5 minutes, which is about 2 minutes longer than it needs to go on. In fact, maybe 3 minutes longer than it needs to go on. Or 5 minutes longer than it needs to go on.
You need to
So just 3. I've just chosen 3. Black Butterfly might have made it, but there's actually something I like about that track, but I'll save to talk about that for the last round.
Okay, good man. So what about you, Mark? Metal Never Dies.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Well, Black Butterfly was like the first one that I was like, okay, this is. I didn't really like that song at all. Higher Power is just, like a generic radio. That's what I expected this whole album to be, like just big, just stuff that you're already heard that's already like on the radio. So Higher Power was definitely one of them. Black Butterfly. I think after Black Butterfly, I'm gonna go with Dancing in the Rain. I don't know. It just this album just kind of put me in a down mood. Like, kind of felt sad after listening to this album.
Did you go dance in the rain, Mark?
Man, I was like in a depressive mood after listening to this album. I wasn't in a good mood at all. Friday morning, this is the first album that I listened to, and it put me in a bad mood. I was like, my life's pretty good.
You were like, damn you, Hector.
So I usually listen to high energy stuff, things that are gonna keep my emotions high, and this just put me down. Like, I felt down after listening to this album, like especially after Black Butterfly and stuff, you know.
Maybe we need to bring Mark on for a Doom. Sorry, Mark. Maybe we need to bring you on for a Doom metal record next time.
Oh, I don't listen to that stuff. Like, it's just anything that kind of puts me down like that. It's just I usually stay away from. So
that is why divorced that rock, man.
Exactly.
That's funny. That I just imagine Mark listening to the record and he's like, "Damn you, Shield, dude." For like, you couldn't invite me to talk about like super metal stuff. No, Scott Stapp.
I'm like, Scott Stapp, yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome. I'm sorry I depressed you, man.
It's okay.
On Friday morning. So that leaves me. So I'm gonna pick one that none of you has picked, and I think is If These Walls Could Talk. I'm sorry. I think this is a Shania Twain song. This has been written, and I have an interesting theory. I just imagine Scott Stapp walking onto Napalm Records, and he's like, my friends, I got this idea for a song. I want a huge country singer. Who do you have? We have Dorothy. He'll be like, who the fuck is Dorothy? Like, from the Wizard of Oz. I'm not, no disrespect to Dorothy, but really, Dorothy? Like, who is Dorothy? And the song is like, It's like he's like singing the lyrics like these walls have seen so many things. Like you've seen me pick the bottle up and down, but I'm like, Scott, if you're gonna do that, go big or go home. Say about when you threatened President Obama on the internet. Like that would have that would have been interesting. Use that in the lyrics, man. Go deep. Talk about like when you went on that radio show and you started doing like karate kicks and stuff. Or about like like do you guys I'm sure JC remember some of that stuff. And yeah, the song, like the song, I don't know, like the last minute they're just like if these walls could talk, and then Dorothy,
Yeah.
minus Toto, says it's like they're repeating the same shit over and over again. And I even put that song for my girlfriend because she likes country music, and she's like, I've listened to that song before. It sounds like there's so many if these walls could talk. So I found it like so unoriginal.
Mm.
And I'm sure I'm probably Napalm Records had to cut the budget. I'm like, no, we can't give you Shania Twain. No, we can't get you like Taylor Swift. You get Dorothy for this track. So comment people are gonna be like the Dorothy fans are like, how dare you smear Dorothy? I'm like, I don't know who Dorothy is. Like, there's not even a last name. It could be like a 90-year-old grandma singing with him because like
They can't
Dorothy to
afford the
me,
last name.
yeah, that Dorothy is like it's like an
Martin.
old
They can't
woman
afford the
name.
last name.
I think it's Dorothy Martin.
Yeah, but they didn't even
Yeah.
they
But
didn't even put
yeah.
her last name in there. This just says Dorothy. I'm like, okay. So yeah, that song to me it's bad. Then I'm picking Higher Power, and this is my criticism. Scott Stapp, you're plagiarizing yourself. I just say, he goes into Napalm Records. He's like, I have a song, an original. It's called Higher Power, but you have a song called Higher with Creed in 1999. But this is different. I added the power at the end of it. You see, it's not the same song. So yeah, that song it's so generic, and the lyrics he's speaking like he walked through fire, he died, and he has the higher power. And then ironically it goes into Dead Man's Trigger where he's like, don't push me. I'm like, wait, motherfucker. You just told me that you find a higher power, and now you're like, don't push me. Like, are you a Jehovah's Witness? You're like, don't push me. I'm going to your door. So yeah, higher power is just generic, and like Tom said, it sounded like something WWE is getting ready for. And my third pick is Dancing in the Rain. So I want to urge people, please do not romanticize Dancing in the Rain. It's not sexy. It's not cute. It just gives you pneumonia or the cold. Like there's nothing cool about dancing in the rain. Maybe doing some other stuff in the rain, but but dancing, no. Like plus that it's. I think even correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that didn't Creed have a song called "Dancing in the Rain"? I felt like I've heard that title before. I will have to JC find that out. But yeah,
Let me there's a Creed song called Don't Stop Dancing. I'm just doing a quick
oh
Google
yeah,
search.
but I don't know if they said rain in the song. But yeah, that song, like Tom said, it goes on for way too long, and it's just so sappy. And the lyrics, they're so cheesy that they're giving Bruce Dickinson a run for his money in the cheese department. So yeah, those are the free picks that I would pick. I think there's other songs that are bad. Like I agree with JC with What I Deserve. He's like picking random stuff like love is choosing, love is something. And he's like, I just want you to listen to my divorce that rock. Yeah, but it's but if I had to pick the free ones, I just picked all those other free. So yeah, we picked tracks. Now we're going to the third and final round, where we give our final thoughts and our rating. So JC, final thoughts and rating for this.
Okay, I don't know. kind of like not sure where I want to go. I think I might have to give it a thumb sideways, which I think I've never done on this show before, because there were some songs that I actually kind of liked. I hate to say it, I kind of like the song "If These Walls Could Talk." I thought it was just kind of catchy, and I actually knew who Dorothy was only because she was, I think, on the last Hailstorm album or something. I know I've heard that name before, but otherwise I wouldn't have known who it was. So I thought that was kind of, that song was okay. The other ballad, "You're Not Alone," I thought it was okay. It was listenable. I didn't hate it. The last song, "Weight of the World," another power ballad, and another one, I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. There was a song called "Quicksand." No one mentioned that, so I guess that was not too bad. I think it was mostly like the singles and like the front half of the album that was pretty bad. But I thought there were a few songs that could save it from a complete thumbs down. So for that reason, I'm like in the middle, because I think that there were a few songs that I liked. Yeah.
Cool, man. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, very similar, really. I think for me, it's a bit of a sideways, maybe slightly, somewhere there. Definitely not a thumbs up, really. But I don't feel strongly about it to say it's a really bad album or anything. I don't think. I do think it's very generic, very by the numbers. Rock sound, so many familiar sounding songs on it that it almost makes me want to do a thumbs down, because it sounds so much of it sounds like what I've heard before. But there were some moments on here that sort of had a kind of a basic charm, is the way I would put it. Like "These Worlds Could Talk." I quite liked that. I thought, although I didn't really bother reading the lyrics, to be honest, of a lot of this album. And I thought that was actually, a good performance. What they were singing wasn't very interesting, really, but I liked that when they came together and harmonized. I thought there was, good vocals, if nothing too much else, good vocal performances. I suppose, though, that's what we would expect, right, from Scott Stapp and Dorothy, and Black Butterfly. I get where you're all coming from. It does. At first, I thought I was going to hate this song, but when I listened to it 2 or 3 times, I actually quite liked the bridge bit where it goes all Eastern. It goes into a bit of an Eastern instrumental, and then into this kind of heavier breakdowny bit. And I was like, if I listen to this on full blast with a really loud sound, I'd quite enjoy that section. When it's got a really kind of bottom end sound. In fact, it could have done with even more bottom end in that bit, I think, and just really brought out the heaviness in that track and made it bit less poppy sounding, and maybe even changed the vocals and the vocal lines. I like the instrumentals. What I'm saying is I like the instrumentals of it, but not the vocal stuff going on so much in that track, because it does sound weird. I don't know. JC mentioned Bush, so yeah, I think maybe it was trying to be like that singer. But yeah, not too many other highlights, I don't think. Was it the "You're Not Alone" track that was the other one I thought was an okay ballad? Again, pretty well performed. And that's one thing I would say about the album, I think, is although it's very generic and there's lots of same stuff and sounds very familiar, if you're familiar with that early 2000s movement of post-grunge, I do think that there were good performances. I think he performed pretty well on the songs.
Good deal. So what about you, Mark?
I think I'm gonna go with it's, even though it's not my thing, I think that's and it got me kind of down, put my mood down. It's at least they let me like feel something, I guess. So there is some kind of emotion there, right? So I think he's a good writer. So I think there's some, like, people are gonna like this, like people who are into this style of music, not me. So that's why I'm going to go with the mid thumb. there. Will I go back to this album? No, like so.
No,
But
don't do
it's
it, man, because if you're
yeah,
happily married, you'll fall into
yeah.
divorce dad rock territory.
But like it honestly it made me appreciate my life even more now after listening to this album. So to be a divorced dad or anything. So yeah, I think some it's not that bad. I think he's a good songwriter. You don't go into a you don't go with Creed and be in a band like that and then do your own solo stuff. He's done well for himself, and there's something there. I think other people will like it. So yeah, so just mid thumb for me.
It's fun. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think a lot of people shit on Creed unnecessarily because I actually saw Creed live in 2010 and they're great. But I like them better in Alter Bridge because Miles Kennedy
Yeah,
is a
Alter Bridge is
superior
awesome.
singer, in my opinion. Scott Stapp's got that yarl, like "Where was one open," that I remember. I always thought when he started that he was copying Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. But you could understand Scott Stapp a little bit better, more cleaner.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I still like Eddie Vedder better. But yeah, so final thoughts for this. So yeah, so this album, yeah, it has generic lyrics sometimes here and there, and something that I thought that he like was saying the same topics over and over again, like "you're not alone," like he's talking about needing help and stuff, and like the same thing with this old school stuff. So it's like the themes run into every song, like "Higher Power" and "Weight of the World." There's a lot of themes of like overcoming and like I found the higher power and I'm doing better. And of course, nobody does the Jesus Christ pose better than than Scott Stapp. Remember the higher? He's always like going like this, and even the album cover, someone's going like this. So yeah, he talks about themes that I think he's talked a lot in the past. So it's kind of redundant for me, but is it that bad? No, it's enjoyable. I also give it a mid because there's nothing here that I found like truly truly bad. Because even higher power, it's cheesy and stuff, but I don't know. It kind of reminded me of like that WWE like intro song. Uh, and well, I'm surprised that the Napalm Records site like is putting out Scott Stapp because they're mostly like a huge metal label, and this is like a hard rock album, divorce that rock album, and Scott Stapp, he sounds great. The production is good, and this is way better than Corey Taylor's last solo album, in my opinion, because you know what, Corey Taylor was trying too hard, and I think Scott Stapp he's just really doing what he does. Is it mind blowing? No, but it's also nothing that I would say like this is atrociously bad. Uh, so yeah, so this is the first time on this series that we've all given a mid. So the album
Yeah.
is like hanging by the balance, but it's safe. So yeah, people like if you listen to Creed and if you like Scott Stapp, you will enjoy this album. If you're not a Creed fan and you thought Scott Stapp sucks, then you think this will suck. But that's why I got Mark here because I'm like, this is not his cup of tea, but like he could enjoy it and hopefully he'll he'll feel in a better mood once he listens to some like like Judas Priest or something to get him. Uh, oh, we got a cameo from yeah. Tell him that you're
Yeah,
not going. You are not leaving.
yeah.
That album is not destroying you. So yeah, man. So yeah, we've all saved Scott Stapp's album, and you know what? There's another album that came out last Friday that we could have done, and it's that new Dragon Force record. Like
Yeah.
that could have been done, but yeah, we only had to pick one, so we picked Scott Stapp. So I don't know what like we may do another episode before the spring break, but after the spring break, we'll be back in April. And we posted a poll for since Marilyn Manson is back and opening for Five Finger Death Punch. that's a low opening. We're doing a Marilyn Manson album, and we put a poll with 5 albums, and so far the high end of low is winning. So it seems like we'll do that episode. And that episode, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be Chile from Live Listening Race, Matthew's joining us, and JC. So that probably will be the next episode. So probably no new Is It That Bad for 2 weeks. So but besides, we have to take a break. So if you haven't, please subscribe to my channels. Mark Aruda, he has the channel Metal Never Dies, plus he has a band called Aquila, and they're going to play some Creed covers for their next show. I imagine Mark like, well, I just heard the news today. You can add that to your set. So if you want to, he talks about metal, does reviews for metal, and obviously shows his vinyl collection. So subscribe to Mark. Metal Never Dies. If you like fantasy, horror content, and if you want to see beautiful symphonic metal singers interview with Tom, subscribe to his channel. Yeah, sometimes I'm interviewing these ugly ass dudes. And Tom has
symphonic Sundays, right?
Tom has the beautiful women, but hey, I talked to John Bush the other day. I'm still pinching myself. So yeah, subscribe to Tom the Green Man channel. He's got great content, and Symphonic Metal Sundays is a great series too. And obviously, finally, JC Rock and Metal Reviews. If you want to know band's history, if you want to get like deep into the lyrics and some deep analysis, go to his channel because he gives you all that. Plus, it's like almost like watching some of your videos, man. It's like a documentary sometimes because you have the picture and stuff. And it's like, like I could do that, but I'm lazy as fuck. So no. So subscribe to him. And finally, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I have interviews, Is It That Bad, album reviews, and I'm closing the watch hours to making some money, man. like that would be nice, so I can buy a nicer couch. So people, until next time, we'll see you for another episode of Is It That Bad? So don't forget to subscribe to all our channels, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you and goodbye.